Hello, hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Here we are. It's the last Tuesday in April, if you can believe it. And here we are in this strange new world. How is everybody doing today? I see there's a whole bunch of you waiting. That's awesome. I actually was a few seconds early instead of being late. So let me know. I see there's several of you here already. Let me know who you are, where you're from. It's actually a sunny day here in Massachusetts, which is nice because it's been nasty and rainy. Yeah, so it's sunny. It's supposed to get up close to 70 this weekend. Yay! I was just looking out the window to see. I thought of bringing you over there to see the chickens. Hi, April. How's the weather in Pennsylvania? Has spring sprung yet? It's kind of slow here this year. Usually just towards the end of April, we start to get nice days. Hi, Lila. And Janet, good to see everybody from the UK. Pouring. Oh, in gray. That's kind of par for the course for the UK, isn't it? What I've been told. I've never been there. So have any of you garden? Have any of you got things planted yet? Hello, is it Deneen? Okay, Massachusetts. We're in Massachusetts, if you don't mind saying. You don't have to. I am on the South Shore. I am about 30 miles south of Boston. Yeah. But I'm looking forward to, I keep looking out the window because it's sunny. I'm looking forward to planting some veggies. Usually by this time, mid-April, I've planted lettuce and things. Glorious weather all month until now. Hello, Lisa. Hey, everybody. Oh, it's good to see so many of you here today. Western Mass, close to Springfield. Oh, okay. I actually went to UMass Amherst. So I know that, well, I knew that area a few decades ago. Hello from Nova Scotia. My husband keeps talking about moving there, and I'm not sure about that. We're in Massachusetts. We have winter. I think I'd want to go south, not north. Illinois. Hi, Faye. Very good. Oh, it's so good to see everybody. We're a couple minutes past 1. I'll give you a look at what's going on my table right now, and then we'll go ahead and jump into today's project, which is a fun one. I'm looking forward to it. A feather cane. Hello, Linda. Oh, there's my notes because I keep forgetting things. And and I realized I've seen other people doing live streams, and yeah, you can't read that. And they have these paper notes, and I realized why, because my little notes, on my computer, I completely forget to look at. So there's my notes. There's some clay I'm thinking of using, my tools, some feather canes I've already made, my tea, some molds that if we have time, I might show you. They were sent to me by Let's Resin, and I'm thinking about doing, well, I will be doing YouTube videos on those. And oh, there's some notes about our feather cane and a Potomac bead order that came yesterday, and I've been so busy, I haven't even had a chance to open it yet, which is a shame. So let me get untangled from my lapel mic cord, which you might notice I actually remembered to put on before we started. Wow. And we'll get you centered over the work table. I've got you, I'm going to zoom you in a little close so you can really, and the tape is just to help me stay in frame when I'm working. It's actually really hard. If you've never made a video of yourself making things, it's really hard. This is why when people make movies and TV shows, they have all these different people who have one job, one person to direct, and one person to do sound, and one person to do lights. Nova Scotia and Boston weather are similar. There is audio, Leslie, yes, and I know people are hearing me because they're responding, so I don't know. But yes, there is. Everybody else, let Leslie know that you do have audio. I was out in Western Mass, Janine, last fall teaching a class in, I can't remember the name of it, Snow Farm. And I thought of driving over to UMass to see it because I was there in 84, 85. And I haven't seen it for a long time. Yeah, sound is good. Try refreshing or jiggling the cord. Alrighty, so these are some canes that I made, and I mentioned it last week in a tutorial with Gail Thompson on her YouTube channel. And this is actually her version of Donna Cato's. And I just looked up Donna Cato's cane, and I'm not sure exactly how different Gail's is from Donna's. It seems pretty similar. But I really love how these came out. Of course, these, it makes a lot of cane. And then I was looking at one, I had saved it years ago. I think it was actually didn't come to the internet until like, well, I think, yeah, it's been, I think the date on it was like 2006 or something. Here it is, Robin Milne. So I saved this, and this is a scrap feather cane, published 2007. So I actually have Robin's permission to share her cane. So hers is a lot more scrappy. I mean, really, this is literally a pile of scraps without any thought whatsoever to color placement. And it makes a pretty cool cane in the end. And the process is relatively simple. And what I'm thinking of doing today is kind of a cross between these, keeping it a bit more scrappy than these. Well, I love the way these came out, but keeping it a little bit more scrappy, not making a blend, but being a little bit more careful and controlled about the placement of the colors. I haven't touched a thing. My volume has gone down. Unless it's just the way I'm talking, I'll try to remember. Maybe because I had my head down or up. But I haven't touched anything on my setting. So that's where I'm at. I'm going to kind of do a combination of Donna's scrap feather and, Donna Cato's and Robin Milne. And I'll link to all of these. And Robin's actually been doing a lot of different things these days. She's, I'll link to her site. I think I did already, actually, in the description box. She's been doing some amazingly gorgeous quilling. Just beautiful. Go check it out. So what you need to do this is, of course, some scrap. Now, I started by pulling out my purples. These are my purple scraps. But I thought it was a little flat, and so I thought I would bring in maybe some blue, just a touch, and maybe a touch of pinks or reds, just to give it a little pizzazz. So let's see. I'm going to move these out of the way. I never told my husband this, but when he made this table for me, I was a little dismayed to find that he did a finished wood top, because if you know anything about polymer clay, you know that clay eats into wood finishes because they're usually some kind of a polyurethane. So I try to be really careful not to put raw clay on it. Don't ever tell him I said that. It's a wonderful table and I love it. It's fantastic. So let me start with the purples. And whenever you're doing something, I think, for interest, you want to have a variety of darks, lights, mediums, and different shades. So let's see. Grab my blade. And this is kind of fun because it's a little exciting. You really don't know what you're going to end up with. Except that, mostly what you're going to end up seeing in the end is the color, the overall color. So let's see, I've got some of this, which was a failed cane with a lot of purple, with a lot of white mixed in a little purple. So that'll go down this end. Noticing I'm sort of, gosh, I can't talk today. Notice I'm sort of arranging them from dark to light because I do really like that look rather than just having an overall. Now that one, that's blue. That's not purple. How'd that get in there? But that's okay. That'll look good. I've mentioned before, I learned a lot about color from quilting, and there was one quilting book in particular that had you pick a color, like, say, purple. And purple, of course, is a blend of red and blue. And so they would have you find fabrics that were every kind of purple. You'd have red purple, blue purple, bright purple, grayed out purple, lavender, and a really dark purple. And although if you took any two of those, speaking of lavender, if you took any two of those and put them together, they may not necessarily work. Like if you put something really grayed next to something very saturated, they just kind of didn't go together. But the more different ones you put together, the more everything just blended to a really rich look. Think about if you look at a drawing of or a painting of trees, excuse me, all the different greens. You've got that same blend. Green is yellow and blue. You've got blue greens. You've got yellow greens. You've got bright chartreuse greens, and you've got really pale greens. And it's gorgeous and rich looking because of that mix of colors. Hey, Leona. Did you go to, I'm just thinking about your comment, Deneen. Did you go to UMass? Like I said, I was there in 84, 85. I went for a Bachelor of Fine Arts, but in the interest of full disclosure, I did not get a degree. But I did learn a lot of things that I still find useful to this day. Partying was not one of them. Those of you who are not familiar, its affectionate nickname was UMass, because it was kind of a party school. Let's see, what else do we have? Oh, so here we have a bit more of a reddish purple. Arkansas. It's so cool seeing people from all over the country and even all over the world. I think last week we had someone from Ukraine and someone from Alaska, and that's just cool, I think. Ooh, and this one, that's nice, kind of dark but bright. So I'm just kind of blending these, but also generally keeping the color from light to dark. And I think I'm going to have a lot of cane here if I don't stop. So let's add just a little blue. I love this. This is Sculpey Souffle Sea Glass. What else have we got? Maybe a little of that. Just a little. Oh, Vermont, Florida. Vermont is such a pretty place. Snow? Where are you that you're getting snow? Blah. Actually, we got snow, what was it? It was like the middle of April. I think it was the 17th. And I got up and looked out the window and said, what is, oh, I gotta stop. Maybe too much of that, huh? I said, is this like a bad late April Fool's joke or what? It didn't last long. I think I want to kind of more concentrate those blues rather than scatter them. I was thinking and talking. Well, I was talking more than thinking. Which is not a good combination. So I want to add one more tiny bit of blue. I've got that one and that one. Maybe just not much. Nova Scotia, it's snowing. Oh, I'll tell my husband. No, I want to go south, someplace warm. Oh, equine science, that's cool. That's a beautiful area. Do you have your own horse? Beautiful area in Western Mass. See horses. All right, now I gotta decide. No, too orange. I don't know. At first I said definitely not, but now I don't know. What is this? This is Primo Fuchsia? Really? That looks like a much brighter fuchsia than I remember. I have heard that Nova Scotia is gorgeous. Yeah. It makes me think of Anne of Green Gables. She mentioned Nova Scotia. I don't know about that. I don't know. Not bubblegum. All right, this one. Maybe just a little of this one. Or should I do the lighter one? Yeah, the lighter one. Okay. This is fun because I'm like kind of mindlessly just doing colors, playing with color. And I don't know if we want all that, maybe just that much. And that's a pretty good amount of clay, and that's going to make a decent amount of cane. So I think we'll set aside all these colors. Get a drink, and I'm going to have to take this off. Gets in the way. Why is that there? Go away. And just kind of start compressing them. Of course, you don't want to trap air if you can possibly help it. So I have a couple questions for you guys. I meant to ask last week, and like I said, I didn't have my note, but because I have my little paper note here, I can actually remember. I wanted to ask you if there were particular things you would like to see, like questions you'd like answered for Friday Findings videos. I'm always looking at your comments and trying to decide what it is that you want to learn about and the questions that are confusing. Like the video that I put out last Friday, I'm going to add a little bit of pearl. I want just a little bit more white on this end. Getting down to the end of my 1 pound block of pearl. I use this a lot. I use it more often than white. Well, that's lovely. 2 horses. Well, yeah, the video that I did this past Friday on the difference between UV resin and 2-part resin was because I got a lot of questions on it. People seem to be confusing it. I had people asking me, if I put UV resin, if I just leave it and don't put it under a light, will it cure? No. If I put regular resin under a UV light, will it cure? No. So I felt like I needed to address it. But I was just wondering if there were any particular issues that you would say, yay, she did a Friday Findings on that. And how many of you guys play with resin? Actually it's funny, some of my most popular videos are resin, and that's not even my main thing. I do it on occasion. It's fun to play with, but I think I really enjoy being able to get my hands in and manipulate it like with clay. Oh, that's interesting, Janet, that you don't necessarily learn the main thing, but the other stuff that yeah, people who know what they're doing and have done it a while do. Now that you say that, that's true. I gain the same thing. I'll watch videos by people, and I know the technique, and I don't need to learn it. But yeah, there's always some little thing you pick up here or there. Now that I have this pretty well compacted, I'm just going to kind of compact it more with my roller. Yeah, resin and polymer together, they are a great match. Well, that looks like a mess. Must be doing it right, huh? All right, so it's about that thick. This is going to make a lot of cane. You know what? I think I'm going to set aside half of this. I think I'm just going to use half of it to make my cane because I had a thought. The Donna Kato canes, you can kind of see on the edges here, they are wrapped in gold clay. So each of these little feather quills has gold. And the one by Robin Milne is wrapped in black clay. And I was wondering what the difference was because I really like the way these look. Um, and I was wondering if it would almost be, I don't know, too broken up. Uh, I don't know. So maybe I'll try with the other half. Oh, that's interesting, Janet. Yeah, I didn't even think about what I was doing. It just seemed, well, I think some of it is just that I like to be hands-on. I mean, I could have chopped them up with a blade, but gosh, here we go. So we'll compact this. So where are we for size? Just to give you an idea. This is yeah, it'll be probably about 4 inches by maybe half an inch in diameter when I'm done. But, you know, make whatever you want. So what is everybody working on this week? I know Lila told me she's working on masks, and more masks, which is awesome. I made, I think, 26. And I have one, and my husband has one. And the rest I sent to a hospital, a local hospital. And I haven't made any more. Just, yeah, my schedule is... starting with don't have a pasta machine. You can do most of these things you can do without a pasta machine. A pasta machine will just make it easier and faster. And more accurate. There are some techniques where you will need to have pretty accurate and consistently sized sheets. And so a pasta machine is going to help you with that. But there are other ways to do it. I was so happy when I when I first bought a pasta machine and saw how much easier it made my life. So I would recommend as soon as you're able to get one, even even an inexpensive one. Clay conditioning. I'm really happy with my Atlas. I actually linked to the Atlas 150 down below. It's like $60 on Amazon. The 180, which is the one I have, it's 15 centimeters instead of 18. So mine's a little wider. I've been very happy with it, and it was a little bit of a splurge. My father passed away, and I had a little bit of money from him, and I got myself the wider pasta machine, and I got it through Mona Kissel, what she does is takes off the blades, and I'm trying to think of how to show you. Well, I can undo it and show you this part. This, I don't know if you can see this. I just cleaned it. I clean it between every, oh, there it is. Between every time I use it. This is one of the blades that sits up against the roller. So if you pretend this is one of the rollers of the pasta machine, this blade sits up against it as it rolls. And what happens is clay collects in there, and it can be really difficult to clean otherwise. And so they made them, they modify them. It's Mona, so they call it monifying. makes it so that you just have a thumb screw to pull it off and clean it. And I take great delight in between every project in taking these off and cleaning out the gunk. Because I had bought a cheap one at Michael's or something, and there was such a buildup of clay, I had to take it apart and clean it. And I did. I took it apart. And I'm pretty mechanical. I'm pretty good at like taking things apart and putting them back together. I'm also not a person who swears, as a rule. It's just not who I am. But man, trying to get that thing back together, I was ready to start cussing up a storm. It was not easy. And then that's when I decided to get a nice machine, and I kind of started to feel like a real polymer clay artist at that point. But you're right, sometimes you can find them at thrift shops or Craigslist or, yeah. So I would say start with an inexpensive one if that's all you can do, and then when you're able to invest in a nicer one if you enjoy having it. All right, so now we have this, and I'm down to the very last bit of my black clay. I just ordered some from Michael's though. They had a coupon, I think, for 20% off your whole order, which was nice. So I ordered a bunch of stuff. All of the Michaels in the area are closed though, which is a bummer. I suppose it probably saves me money. I had a friend once say those 40% off coupons cost me more money. And I think she was right. So I'm just going to roll this through the pasta machine. But if you don't, have one, I just saw those slats. What you can do is if you want to roll a consistent slab of clay without a pasta machine, what you can do is let me see if I can find, well, I'll just pretend here. So I've got some index cards. Playing cards is actually a common thing that's used as a measurement. So here's, let's see, 3 index cards. I'll double it, 6, and I'll put a set of 6 on each side. So if I want my sheets of clay to be 6 cards thick, I'll put these on each side and then roll. And keep rolling until, well, you can't roll no more. And the rollers will be on top of the cards, and the clay will be the same thickness. So that's a good trick. But I'm going to use my pasta machine, and I am going to roll this out to a number 6 setting, which is about 1 millimeter or 1 card thick. I don't know how that equates. It's playing cards they usually talk about because they're pretty consistent. This is index cards. I suspect these are thinner. So if you have a deck of playing cards, you can do that. Also, in the baking aisle at Michael's, it's limited, but there are rings that you can get. You can buy their rollers, pastry rollers with rings that go on them that do the same purpose. Plenty. So we're going to roll our log and just, well, excuse me, we're going to wrap or roll, however you want to call it. Wrap our log in some black clay. Again, these ones were wrapped in gold. You can see the leftovers on the edges. So the definition of each, I don't know what that's called, but it's finer. It's a bit more subtle. I'm excited to see how this comes out. So I'm going to press from the center out, try not to trap air, and roll it. Can you guys, I don't know if you haven't done this before, you should be able to see a line there. It's easy to see in person, it's often hard to see on camera, but there's a line there from this edge. So that tells you where to cut. Cut slightly inside it. And we'll just roll that a little. Now this is going to make a lot of cane. Just move this out of the way for the moment. So it's best to cut it into a few pieces to deal with it now. So we'll cut it into like 3 pieces. But do keep in mind where they meet up. You know, so this is the middle one because it matches. It's got that medium, and then this is the end one because it's got the darkest. And now we're going to sorry, I was just reading comments. Yeah, a lot of folks have hand issues, and a pasta machine is wonderful. It just makes things faster and easier and more consistent. I've read that there are folks who swear by the motor. You can buy the motor for the pasta machine, and they say it's awesome. My only issue with that is that I'm kind of sensitive to sounds. They annoy me, and I enjoy just the quiet of working, you know, at night, mixing colors, and I think it might drive me crazy, and I might not mix colors or roll out clay sheets if I had to deal with the noise of a motor. Do any of you guys have motors? I'd be interested in knowing about that. So I am going to roll this out to, maybe about 1/4 of an inch in diameter. And this is why we cut it into 3 pieces, because it's going to be really long by the time we're done with it. Yeah, I hope you found that helpful, Deneen. Oh, yeah, I got some air bubbles down here. I can tell. We'll just squish it. Oops, gosh, yeah. It'll be fine. All right. So, let's see. All right, I'm going to do that with each of these. So I'm just going to try to keep them in order. So this is, so we get the lightest side of each one. Wait a minute. You really do need to keep them in order. Yeah, so I got the lights. We'll keep the lightest side of each one on the right. So light on the right, light on the right. Okay. So this is the middle one. So we'll do the same thing. Yeah, that's what you got one and don't use it because of the noise. I know myself, and you know, I live with my husband and the noise would bother him. So what's the disaster, Leona? Are you making the cane that we're making? Yeah, I think I've noticed people using their motors on YouTube videos, and I think if I had a motor and I was using them on a video, I think I would mute it. Please and thank you. Yeah, I got all this air in here, so we'll just squash it. Yeah, you guys have convinced me. I think I knew already I didn't want to get a motor, but now I'm certain I don't want to get a motor. Nah. Maybe if I was doing pounds and pounds, but you know, I usually, if I'm doing this alone, I'm listening to music or an audiobook. Comparable to a blender. Oh, that is loud. Yeah. I don't know how much time it saves at the quantities that I'm making. The exercise, yeah. And I've got actually a pretty good rhythm going when I am doing a lot of conditioning, that I can do it, kind of keep my right hand going, and I keep pulling the clay out and folding it with my left hand. So we'll just keep doing that. Okay, one more. Ow. What did I just do? I was not looking at what I was doing. That's what. Oh, conditioning hard clay. Ah, I was doing something this past weekend, and the color I wanted was crumbly. I hate crumbly clay. Uh, I was reading a thread. I think it was on Blue Bottle Tree. Um, she was talking about dealing with hard clay, and lots of folks had all kinds of suggestions. And I'm looking at it, and I finally chimed in with my thoughts, because my thoughts are, so a block of clay, one of these blocks full of clay, is somewhere around three. If it's expensive, it's $5 or $6. You spend an hour conditioning that clay. That means you've made $5 or $6 an hour. Or in my case, around here, I usually get them around $2 or $3 an hour. So as far as I'm concerned, life is too short. And I have been known to ditch really hard crumbly clay. I just cannot be bothered. I just don't have the time. So that's my 2 cents on it. And yeah, if you have hand issues, although Ginger showed something recently where she just kind of crumbled it up in a baggie and put in some clay softener, and I think she said to let it sit for, I forget, a day, a week. And the clay softener, I used it on that clay, this stuff. A couple drops. It did do a good job. It was still kind of a mess. You're gasping at me, throwing out clay. Yeah, I'm impatient that way. All right, so these are all rolled out. And now what I'm going to do is run them through the pasta machine on a medium setting, which is on my Atlas, it's about 1.5 millimeters thick, a 3 or a 4. And I'm just going to unhook my pasta machine for a minute so you can see it. I can't do it here on camera, but I'll just kind of demo. So here's my, trying not to squash anything I don't want to squash. So here's my pasta machine. We'll put it on a 3, or let's say 4. 1.3 millimeters. What you want to do is put your clay, kind of flatten it with your fingers first. Excuse me. And then put your clay right up against one of the edges. Okay? We're going to be like that, are we? Fine. That's fine. All right. So flatten it a little and then put it right up against, I can't do it here, but put it right up against this roller and then roll it through so that you come out with this flattened piece. I have to move this back to the corner of my table in order to do it. And no motor here. You're going to do that with all of your pieces. Kind of hold it up against the edge so that it stays straight. And again, I'm going to keep light on the right. Hello, kitty kitty. Hi. That's Mr. Cheech. I don't know if you can hear him. He's meeping at me. Meep, meep. Did you get your lunch? You need your lunch? And again, this is why we cut these into pieces, because this would be a mile-long strip. It's Excuse me for a sec. I have to go give Mr. Kitty Cat his lunch. Okay, come on. Oh, here it is. Okay, here you go. I put it through right at the edge so that it would stay straight. Because if you try putting it in the middle, it's going to cant off at an angle. But if you put it at the edge and put your finger on it, it should stay straight. And it just ends up kind of a weird shape. Oh, I forgot to flatten that. Let me just flatten these just a little. Just makes them behave better when they go through the pasta machine. And do try to keep them in order, from light to dark. Although I suppose if you're doing like the true scrap cane, like I showed you, Robin's was, it's not such a big deal. But and, I mean, here's just one length. These are weird things. Alright, I gotta grab another tile, so this, well, I'll leave it like this. Alright, one more. Oh, hello. Oh, that's where that was. Okay. Must have been an air bubble in there. Don't worry about the ripply edges and the fact that it looks like an absolute mess. I'm always amazed. Do any of you watch Fiona Abel-Smith? She makes these amazing canes. And somewhere in the middle, I'm always looking at them thinking, that looks terrible. It just looks like a mess. And then by the time she's done, it looks utterly gorgeous and precise. It always amazes me. Okay. So, let's see. Now we have these. Oh, goodness, this stuff just keeps falling apart. And I need to make a little room. So now you need to decide if you want the dark color at the tip of your feather or the light. I like having the dark color at the tip. I don't know why. I just do. So I think I'm going to continue that. And where's my ruler? I'm going to cut these into lengths. I'm trying to decide. I think I'll cut them into 3-inch pieces. Let me get out my big ruler. Apparently my tile is not exactly 12 inches. It's like 11 3/4. That's good to know. All right, let's, this is awkward. 9. Can you even see that? There we go. 6, 3, 1. Okay. And then you'll start laying these on top of each other. I may have to move this at some point. You just lay one down, stick it down to your tile, and then lay the next one down overlapping. Just a tiny bit. And carry on. Well, just a tiny bit that isn't overlapped completely. And you can kind of press this edge where it's thicker down a little. Oh, there goes that. Oh well. Oh, no, that was right. And let me show you from the photo. Let's see. That's not very clear. Let me show you the other one. No, that's not the greatest either. You probably can't see that, can you? They're just overlapping. What we're doing is we're starting here and then laying one down here and laying one down here and onward. And then we'll cut the whole thing in half to make a mirror image on the other side. So we'll just keep going, and this is why you have these long strips, so you can just keep cutting them into the same length, and you can cut any length you want. 3, 4 inches. 6, 3, 1. Now for, especially with the one with Gail Thompson, you know, she kind of kept them mostly in order so that you have shading from one end to the other. But these little variations really give it a lot of interest. And that's when you can kind of swap in some of the other colors from the other pieces. Generally keeping them in order, but every so often putting a light in or a medium in the dark and putting a medium in the lights, just to give it a little bit more interest. And this is kind of fun because you're doing this sort of blind. You're like, what am I going to end up with? It seems like a mess. All right, here's my last piece of that one. So I'll put this one on and cut this off. And actually roll this one out so it's long enough to fill. And that will also give a little bit of variation. I do not have anything in mind to use this cane for, Lila. I had used this feather cane, I think, this one, to make the dragon wings last week. And I was thinking about feather canes. I really only have the two, the blue one and the green one, and I love them and have wished I had them in other colors. And I was trying to think of something relatively easy that I could make for today's live stream, because I was sort of like out of ideas. So I was scrolling through my ideas and came across this and said, oh, that's easy. Actually, I had intended to make a sample of this before I did this live stream, and I just did not have time. So I'm just leaping in, as I often do. We'll see what happens. Okay, there's that one. And kind of flatten it down. And maybe I'll take like a piece of this lighter one up here, because I can. And just stick that in there. And then, this is the darker end, so we'll start here. And carry on like that. It's one of those projects that is really a good candidate. I mean, I'm always looking for an opportunity to read a book or listen to something entertaining. So I love when I can find a project that I don't have to think. Because often when I'm making tutorials or making a YouTube video, I'm thinking the whole time. I'm thinking and thinking about how I'm going to explain it, and what the next step should be, and could I do it this way or that way. So I love when I have something that I don't have to do that, and I can just, well, basically enjoy the fruits of somebody else's creativity and listen to a podcast or an audiobook. I was blessed that just before everything was shut down for this coronavirus, I had just gotten a stack of books from the library, like a whole series of I think 5 books in the series, and I got them all, and some DVDs. And alas, I've finished them all, so now I guess I have to start rereading. I'm trying to decide. Should I reread Outlander? I don't know. There's ebooks, digital books, and those are good, but they don't. I don't know about you. They don't stick with me as well when I'm listening to an audio book or a digital book. I don't remember it as well as if I read it on paper. I know maybe that seems silly. Actually, I read something somewhere and I forget her conclusions, but basically she said, yeah, there is a reason for that. I think part of it was like there's a tactile nature to the paper, holding something physical that enhances memory. I don't know. Oh, just made a mess of that one. Okay. Oh, thanks, Lila. That little dragon was cute. He was fun to make. So, no requests for Friday findings, huh? All right. Let me know if you have any. I'll add them to my list of ideas. I also wanted to remind you that I send out an email newsletter whenever I have a new video up on YouTube, or if I have a sale on my tutorials. I will send out an email newsletter reminder, and if you want to be on that, the link is in the description below. No spam or anything. I don't send out a lot, just when I have a new video up, so you'll know about it. Well, look at this. We're coming down the home stretch. Cool. Okay. This looks like an utter mess, doesn't it? It's one of those fun things when you finally get to cut into it and see what you've got. Well, that's interesting, Sue. You need to listen to an ebook while crafting because your organizational side of your brain takes over. Don't keep it busy. Well, that's what yeah, if I'm putting together a tutorial, then I have to let that organizational side allow it to think, I guess, and not have something I have to think about. So I'll have music on if I'm building a tutorial, because I don't have to think about that. But I can't, listen to, books or podcasts. Oh, another Outlander lover. Yay. Only 2 more episodes in this season. Boo. It's been so good. I've kind of forgot to swap these around, haven't I? I think can I take that off? I'm just going to put like this very lightest one here. I'm so busy talking, I've forgotten. There. Yeah, I'll just have to resort to going back to the books once this season is over. Who knows? Of all these shows that we love, all the actors are in isolation and they're not filming. So anything that was scheduled to be worked on and come out, next year, they're not working on them. Yeah, it must be frustrating. But there are some jobs you simply cannot do in isolation. But hopefully, when this is over, well, not hopefully, it will all be well when this is over. All right, so there is my last piece. I'm trying to stretch it to make it fit. Now what you want to do is kind of flatten out all of this. Well, actually what you want to do is pick it up, flip it over. Because what we have here, this is going to be the outside of our feather. And this is going to be the inside. And if you can see, it's a little bit ridgy. And we don't really want that. We want it smooth. So we have a smooth edge alongside our vein. I think I definitely need that vein too thick. So just kind of smooth it out with the roller. Okay. Yeah, we'll cut this in half. If I did it right, it should be about 3 inches. Yeah, a little over 3 inches, that's fine. So we'll cut that in half. 11 and a half. Sharp side down? Yep. Cool. Doesn't always happen. Hi, Susan. Hello from Texas. Woo. Now you kind of have an idea. That's going to be pretty. Woo. Okay, so now we need to make a vein for the center. And you just need something contrasting. It can be anything. I'm going to go with pearl, because I used it in the cane and it definitely will contrast. And I'm going to roll that out. What you want to do is roll a sheet that's the size of one of your cut pieces. So in this case, 1.5 by 2.5. So I'm going to roll this out on yeah, a medium setting, like a 3 or 4, about 1.5 millimeters. Is that big enough? Not quite. Yeah, I'll roll it out a little bit, because I do think it doesn't need to be too thick. Almost there. And don't worry about the schmutz on it, because it's all going to be wrapped in black anyways. I struggle with leaving the correct amount of slack when stringing. Yeah, that's one of those things you just have to pay attention to as you're working. I need just a little bit more clay here. This is not cooperating. You ever have it in the wrong shape, and no matter how you roll it through the pasta machine, it will not be the right shape to do what you need it to do? You know you have enough clay, it just won't be the right shape. Hello, North Carolina. Let's see. As far as stringing and leaving enough slack, yeah, I would say you need more slack than you might think. And it shows up less. I mean, obviously you don't want, a 1/2 inch gap. That's not a good look. But if you take your piece and then curve it, so you lay it down, if you have a piece of jewelry and you just curve it like it's going to be a bracelet or a necklace. Oh, actually, you need twice that, don't you? No, that's the center. You don't need twice that. Never mind me. I'm doing 2 things at once here. That would be a good idea for a Friday Findings video. Okay. Yeah, I did do one on basic stringing. I'm writing this down. All right. Leaving enough, but not too much slack when stringing. The short answer is, if you curve it before you crimp it, that will build in some of that slack for you, if you know what I mean. Because you're curving it, and because the beads are pushing out, there's going to be a little bit more of your stringy material taken up. All right, I'm just going to lay this on here temporarily and cut around it. And this is going to be the center of our vein. And yeah, this was rolled out on like a number 4. I think that'll be good as I look at that. Not too thick, not too thin. Okay. And then I want to wrap that in some, whatever you use to wrap your colorful bits, wrap those into black or gold or whatever, in a pretty thin setting, about a number 6, about 1 millimeter thick. Okay, I knew that when I mashed all that together, I knew I'd get air bubbles. Not too bad. Okay. So I'm just gonna, now I also want to kind of flatten out one edge. This will be the tip where it's thinner. And remember that the tip is on the left. Okay. All right, thanks for the suggestion for Friday findings. That's good to know. I don't know how much I went over that in that video I did years ago. I do have playlists on jewelry basics that I just put together. I just put together a whole bunch of playlists, actually. I've been meaning to do that for years, kind of organizing all my videos. I'll be sure to link to that in the description sometime. Give me a day, 2 hours anyways. So I'm just kind of stretching that so I don't trap air in there. So now we have a sandwich for the vein. There it is. A little too much. Cool. Okay. So now you want to put this just below your tip. So here's the tip. So maybe about halfway down. Oh, I made it go the wrong way. I'm so silly. Well, this will still work. Cut that at an angle. See what I did there? I goofed. All right. I made it go the other way. So I want that thin at the top, so I'm going to do, let's just patch that in. Flip it over so I can see where to cut. And then just trim that off so you can see it. And ta-da! It's like it never happened. There. All right, where was I? Okay, tip. The tip is going down a little ways. So here's that very first layer. So right around there. Kind of look at these. Yeah. Look at right below that first one, or thereabouts. And without any air bubbles, if you can help it. And then the other piece goes on mirror image. And I'm shifting that. No, that'll be fine. Never mind. Just kneading those, lining them up. And can you see when you put in, when I put in that medium and with the dark, kind of swap them? That is going to be so pretty. I really like that. Love those little bits of the blue in there. we'll just kind of meet them up. And somehow I goofed on this. Big surprise there. We'll cut that off. Oh, I wouldn't toss it, Leona. You can always, there are so many things you can do with scrap, even if your cane isn't usable as a cane. I wouldn't toss it. You can just, what brand of clay is it? Do you know? So there's the cane. I'm going to just reduce this a little bit because I kind of want it to be a little bit wider. You just made it and it's soft. Yeah, actually, you know, it's interesting. I haven't found that putting clay in the freezer helps all that much. I found that putting it in the freezer gets it cold, but it doesn't get hard like you expect. You put ice in the freezer and it gets hard. Clay only gets so hard, and then it doesn't get any harder. So I would just give it time. Come back to it tomorrow. And let it sit for a while. Or weeks. You're right. Yep. Or at least days. I would at least wait till tomorrow and come back to it. Some brands of clay are just like that. And is it really warm where you are, Leona? Well, I'm pretty happy with that, I have to say. And if you're not, if it's really difficult to work with, don't throw it out. Gosh, look up online for uses for scrap clay. There are so many different ways. I think in the Polymer Arts, they did a whole article a couple years back on all kinds of ways to use scrap clay, and they were really cool. So don't throw it out. Well, I'm pretty happy with that. So who else is making a feather cane with me? Or are you all just hanging out? Which is fine, too. Silica gel. Does that work? Have you used it? Because it's not moisture. Silica gel gets out water. But I wouldn't think it would work on clay. Thank you. Yeah, I'm really happy with the way that came out. I'm just going to reduce this a tiny bit more, and then I think I'm done. Let's see. Slice. That's pretty. I'm so happy I put those little bits of blue in there. And I'm so happy I remembered to swap some of the colors. Wow. So that was kind of fun. Oh, good. Well, if you did make a feather cane, or do, you can certainly, if you're re-watching this, be sure to go to the Facebook group, Keepsake Crafts Create, and share what you made. I would love to see everybody's versions. And you know, I'm pretty happy with this, with the black around it. It's definitely a different look, and I still have my other piece here that I'm going to wrap in gold, and I'll share it side-by-side comparison on the Facebook group. Yeah, I love purple. Although it's funny, lately I've kind of been, I think turquoise has become my new favorite color, but I love them all. All colors are wonderful. I'm just gonna pull you down and say hello or goodbye. Let's see, we are really zoomed in. Zoom out, flip around. There we are. Hi. So thank you so much for joining me today. This was a lot of fun. It was fun chatting with you and seeing everybody. And I hope that you'll share what you made. And if you make feather canes, share what you make with them too, because that's what somebody was asking. Yeah, we're done. And that was fun. So I promised I would do a live stream every Tuesday in April, and now it is the last Tuesday in April, and I don't know what else I'm gonna do. I think I'll probably go back to making project videos every other Tuesday, but I'll try to schedule in the occasional live stream because this was fun. If you're signed up to my newsletter, then you'll get notices when those come out. So I think with that, I'll say goodbye, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Yeah, Leona, I would say give it a few days to sit and rest and see if it's easier to work with. You can go ahead and contact me in the Facebook group if you have more questions. All right. Love you all. Happy creating.